be back in the city I love.
Donald Trump headlined a rally at New York's Madison Square Garden on Sunday, and Trump sought to use the iconic venue to deliver his closing argument against Democratic candidate Kamala Harris.
No one trusts her. No one takes her seriously. Everyone knows she is a very low IQ individual.
He vowed to deliver on a promise of mass deportation of those he called illegal immigrants, who he claimed had, quote, conquered American cities.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out.
Warming up the crowd included a number of pro-Trump celebrities, including former wrestler Hulk Hogan and a comedian named Tony Hinchcliffe, who made this joke.
Going on, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
A senior advisor to the Trump campaign told Reuters that the joke about Puerto Rico, quote, does not reflect the views of President Trump or the campaign. While Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens, residents of the island cannot vote in U.S. general elections. And the joke at the rally sparked immediate pushback from Democrats, who said it fit with a Republican campaign characterized by derogatory and dehumanizing language.
I need people to understand that when you have some a-hole calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, know that that's what they think about you.
New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez spoke out in a video on Twitch with Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz. Walz said Puerto Ricans should, quote, send a message to Republicans over the comments.
There are hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans across in battleground states that need to send them a message.
Smells good in here.
Vice President Harris happened to visit a Puerto Rican restaurant in Philadelphia earlier that day as she campaigned in the critical swing state of Pennsylvania. She posted a video on social media promising to, quote, invest in Puerto Rico's future as president. Harris has hosted a string of star-studded rallies, appearing alongside Beyoncé in Houston on Friday night and former First Lady Michelle Obama on Saturday. Polls ahead of the November 5th election show the candidates essentially tied.
To be very frank with you, my internal polling is my instinct.
Asked about her standing on Sunday, Harris said she felt the enthusiasm of her supporters was palpable.
The feeling is one of energy and excitement. What I love about the folks who are showing up is it's every walk of who we are as a country and as Americans. And it's very
Japan was in
exciting.
political flux on Monday after a weekend election left no party with a clear mandate to lead the world's fourth largest economy. Voters used the ballot to punish Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP, over a slush fund scandal and a cost of living crunch. At a news conference on Monday, Ishiba said he understood the ruling coalition lost its majority due to people's anger over his party's handling of the scandal. But as Japan faces economic headwinds and rising security tensions in East Asia, Ishiba pledged to reform the party and continue as premier.
The Liberal Democratic Party must take this matter seriously, reflect on it from the bottom of our hearts, and be reborn.
Though the election results mark the LDP's worst since it briefly lost power in 2009, and it's unclear Ishiba's premiership can survive this beating. The LDP and its junior coalition partner Komeito lost more than 60 seats in the election, including those of 2 cabinet ministers and Komeito's leader. They ended up with 215 seats in the lower house of parliament, short of the 233 needed for a majority. While the main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan won 148 seats, that's 50 more than it had before. Masamichi Ida, a political science and economics professor at Meiji University, said the road ahead for the LDP will be difficult. He said it needs new allies to cover their lost seats, but apart from the main opposition party, only 2 other smaller parties have enough to offer. That's the Democratic Party for the People and the Japan Innovation Party. But the leaders of both have said they won't join the ruling coalition. Both have also criticized the Bank of Japan's efforts to raise interest rates while it tries to wean the country off decades of monetary stimulus. This could be a major challenge for the LDP and the central bank. In one bright spot, however, a record 73 women were elected into Japan's male-dominated parliament.
Israel passed a law on Monday banning the UN Palestinian refugee agency UNRWA from operating in the country. Lawmakers cited what they described as the involvement of some UNRWA staffers in the October 7th attack on southern Israel last year. and said staffers had membership in Hamas and other armed groups. The legislation could impact the agency's work in war-torn Gaza, where Israel has been fighting Hamas militants for a year. It could also hit UNRWA institutions in East Jerusalem, which Israel annexed in a move not recognized abroad. But the law does not refer to operations in the Palestinian territories or elsewhere. The legislation has alarmed the United Nations and some of Israel's Western allies, who fear it could further worsen the already dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. Prior to Israel's passage of the legislation, the U.S. State Department on Monday said it was deeply concerned by the proposed ban.
We continue to urge the government of Israel to pause the implementation of this legislation.
UNRWA head Philippe Lazzarini called the vote a, quote, dangerous precedent that opposes the UN Charter and violates Israel's obligation under international law. He added, quote, this is the latest in the ongoing campaign to discredit UNRWA and delegitimize its role towards providing human development assistance and services to Palestine refugees. UNRWA employs tens of thousands of workers and provides education, health services, and aid to millions of Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. It has long had tense relations with Israel, but ties have deteriorated sharply since the start of the war in Gaza. The UN said in August that 9 UNRWA staff may have been involved in the October 7th assault and had been fired. A Hamas commander in Lebanon who was killed last month in an Israeli strike was found to have worked for the agency. Another commander killed in Gaza last week doubled as a UN aid worker. UNRWA confirmed both men had been employees.
Thousands gathered outside Georgia's parliament on Monday after the country's president and opposition parties called for protests against the result of an election they say was rigged. Georgia's government and electoral commission say Saturday's vote was free and fair, and that the ruling Georgian Dream Party won with nearly 54% of the vote. Opposition parties dispute that, and election observers have said there were significant violations. The results are a blow for pro-Western Georgians. The vote was seen as a choice between a ruling party that has deepened ties with Russia and an opposition aiming to fast-track integration with Europe. Zaza Mikaladze was among the protesters in Tbilisi.
We are here to protect our rights, our European perspective and equality and democracy.
President Salome Zurabishvili, who disputes the results alongside opposition parties, says the ruling party's vote share fell far short of the official tallies. She accused the ruling party of using Russian-style tactics and propaganda.
So, of course, you cannot prove anything, but the clear links that the ruling party has with Moscow, also demonstrated today by the very many messages of support that they have received, is what we have seen at work in this country.
Russia has denied any interference in the vote, saying it was the West that was trying to destabilize the situation. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban paid a surprise visit on Monday after having congratulated the ruling party on its victory. Orban, who holds the European Council's rotating presidency, said in a post on X, quote, Georgia is a conservative, Christian, and pro-Europe state. The European Union, the United States, and NATO have called for a full investigation of alleged election irregularities. Georgian Dream says it still fully supports the country's bid to join the EU.